Wayne Gretzky Estates Winery?
I am skeptical. We'll look that up.
Hey everyone, today we are wrapping up our trip to Niagara Falls. In the next video, we'll be headed back into the US and down to Pennsylvania to do some dispersed camping. But we thought it would be fun to share with you some of the cool places we found to eat and drink while we're in Niagara Falls. If you've been with us for a while, you know that we love to check out local wineries and breweries wherever we travel. And Niagara Falls is no different. They have a plethora of wineries, breweries, and even distilleries. So, of course, we had to check some of them out. Be sure to stick around until the end because we're going to save the best for last. We had one spot that was absolutely our favorite. Our first night in Niagara Falls was a Sunday night, and we headed down to the Clifton Hills area to Niagara Falls Brewing and Distillery. Honestly, this was probably our least favorite out of all the places that we went. Niagara Falls Brewing and Niagara Falls Distillery are two separate locations right next to each other. I do imagine they are connected, owned by the same company, as there was crossover on the menu. We popped into the brewery first, and we really did enjoy the beers there at the brewery. And then we decided to go over to the distillery to check them out and to have dinner. This is where we were a little disappointed. It didn't really feel like a distillery. It was more like just a touristy restaurant that happened to sell distilled spirit. The food and drinks were fine. They were okay. Service was really slow, which we actually don't always mind if there's something special about the place. But in this case, there didn't really seem to be anything special. It was just kind of touristy, and they weren't that busy, so we're not sure why it was so slow. The second day we were in Niagara, we did all the touristy things during the day. We visited some of the really crowded attractions right there by the falls. So by the end of the day, we were ready to get away from the crowds. So we found a brewery right outside the downtown area called Counterpart Brewing. It's only about a 10-minute drive from the downtown falls area, but it feels like a completely different world. We sat on the outdoor patio. They had live music, and the staff was really friendly. I had a pale ale called Enigma Flow, a stout I don't remember the name of, a fruited Berliner Weisse named Better Place, and a watermelon sour called Blender. They were all good, but I love a sour. They also had some really good food.
Ooh, that's pretty.
On Tuesday, we decided to leave the Niagara Falls area and head north to Niagara-on-the-Lake, which sits on the shores of Lake Ontario. Niagara-on-the-Lake bills itself as the prettiest town in Canada. The area is known for its wineries, and you can pick up maps everywhere showing all the wineries, breweries, and distilleries in this area. Niagara-on-the-Lake is about a half hour from Niagara Falls, but there are lots of wineries to stop at on the way up to Niagara-on-the-Lake. Our first stop of the day was Between the Lines Winery. You're encouraged to schedule a tasting, but we were there shortly after they opened and were able to get in. Our host, are they called sommeliers? I'm not really sure, but she was awesome. She was very knowledgeable, and she explained to us how the climate in this particular region is really good for growing grapes and the way they need to be grown to make ice wine. So as we went different places, that did seem to be one of the specialties that we were seeing quite often. And of course, we ended up taking a few bottles home. Our next stop was Limited Distilling. Limited is a small distillery owned by a husband and wife that focuses on craft spirits and unique flavors. And there's a record store in their tasting room. We each tried a cocktail. I had an Applejack Sazerac. We also thought their bathrooms were pretty interesting, a real industrial vibe.
Felt kind of weird walking to the bathroom with a camera.
We've been experimenting with old fashions at home, so we left with some whiskey cherries and old fashioned mix. About 5 minutes down the road is the Wayne Gretzky Estates Winery and Distillery. They have both wine and whiskey tastings here. They have a whiskey bar with food, and they have a beer garden area, although I don't know if they actually have beer. Tim and I shared a whiskey flight and ended up walking out with a bottle of the number 99 whiskey for Tim. They also have several cream whiskeys, which we tried with our tasting, that were delicious. They had a Canadian cream, a salted caramel cream, and a maple cream. Can we just go, is it okay to just go walk through? Okay, great, thank you. Uh-huh. Oh, is that what it says? Take one down, pass it around, 99. Oh, interesting. Huh. We were gonna, Dee Dee was trying to bring us over to the whiskey bar. You guys went in the distillery, which is fine, but just letting you know.
Well, then there's the beer garden.
And the beer garden, yeah. I always wonder with places like this how involved the celebrity actually is in all of the products and everything, and how much of it is just marketing. Our next stop was Lakeview Winery, again, just a little bit further down the road. They have a small inside tasting room, but also have an outside area. We headed out to the tent and they came out. They gave us time to look over and make our selections for our tasting, and then they brought those out to us. It was very nice and relaxing. We ended up buying another bottle of ice wine here and then decided it was probably time for dinner. We headed to Spirit in Niagara Distillery for dinner. We had checked online and it looked like they had a really interesting menu.
Very pretty.
They have a shop and tasting bar in the front, and then behind that is the confessional lounge. They have both indoor and outdoor seating available. Are you getting the theme here? This is a very curated menu, and every item on the menu is paired with a spirit. So for each thing you eat, they bring you a tasting of the spirit to try with the food. We started with some drinks. I think that was a Negroni I ordered, and then some appetizers. Smoked salmon crostinis and sin-deviled eggs. For our main course, Tim and my sister both ordered lake perch on a potato latke. I ordered the gnocchi, and Brian had the ravioli. And then for dessert, we had carrot cake that was made while we waited. Service here was quite slow, but our server had let us know that they were understaffed this evening. And like we mentioned earlier, we don't necessarily mind waiting if there is something special about the place. And in this situation, we feel like the quality of the food and the experience itself was worth the wait. The food was outstanding. And you can schedule a tasting experience with a 4, 6, or 8 course meal. We thought these prices were pretty reasonable too. After dinner, we took a few more pictures of the beautiful landscaping. It was so peaceful here.
Oh, I see. Cute.
The next day, we visited several attractions on the northern end of Niagara Falls. The White Water Walk, the Arrow Car, the Flower Clock, and Niagara Glen. So we looked for a restaurant in that general area, and we discovered Grist. We arrived about 4:30 and were able to be seated right away, but by the time we left an hour and a half later, they were packed and people were waiting to get in. We really enjoyed their beers and the food was good too. What are you eating there, babe?
Dirty dog.
Jeez, oh Pete. The Dirty Dog is a bacon-wrapped, foot-long hot dog on a baguette topped with fries, chili, cheddar cheese, nacho cheese, garlic aioli, and crispy onion straws. You do get a lot of food here, very large servings.
We're eating a lot of food.
Our last day, we were exploring south of Niagara Falls, so we decided to check out Blackburn Brewhouse. It's a 10 to 15 minute drive from the falls. We had Mexi fries and a pepperoni pizza for dinner here on a Thursday night, and they were having a car show that evening. We had dinner on the patio. The weather was beautiful, very chill, very relaxing for our last night in Niagara Falls. And we got to look at some pretty cool cars. Okay, so I have saved our favorite for the end. On Tuesday, while we were exploring Niagara-on-the-Lake, we decided to visit this brewery called Silversmith. It's in the little town of Virgil in the Niagara-on-the-Lake region, and it's in a historic rescued church. The brewery was started by two friends in 2011 and was the first brewery in the area. They value community, creativity, collaboration, and diversity. And I gotta tell you, the place just had a great vibe. The beer and food were delicious. Everybody was friendly. It was relaxing. We had a ton of fun while we were there. Brett took care of us. What an awesome human being.
Hi guys, Brett from Silversmith Brewery here. We're located in Virgil, right next to Niagara Lake, about 20 minutes away from Niagara Falls. I just met my lovely friends, and now I gotta go to Indiana. Now I gotta do the YouTube channel, and apparently I have to impersonate Freddie Mercury also. But thank you for joining us. We love you guys. See you
Thank
soon.
you. We had an awesome
I
time.
love it. Yeah, give me a hug. I want a hug.
I want a hug.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man.
So Silversmith was definitely our absolute favorite of the trip. If you're ever in the area, stop in and check them out. So in our next video, we're back in the U.S. and we're headed down to Bald Eagle State Forest in Pennsylvania for a little dispersed camping. I hope you'll join us on that adventure. Thank you so much for watching.
Water straight from the earth.